This episode of the Towing Life podcast is sponsored by Strong Arm Recovery. Strong Arm Recovery provides you with a professional towing service that treats your investment like it's their own. With locations in Ottawa, Ontario and Calgary, Alberta, and a full fleet of heavy and light service vehicles, they are guaranteed to meet your towing needs. You can visit strongarm-group.com for more information. Once again, that's strongarm-group.com.
Hey everyone, I'm Brad from Calgary.
This is Sean from Cambridge, Ontario.
I'm Terry from Cornwall, Ontario.
Hey, this is Larry from Pitt Meadows, British Columbia, and you're listening to the Towing Life Podcast.
Welcome to the Towing Life Podcast, where the ditches are deep, the trucks are loaded, but the drivers are not. I am your host, Towman G, and as usual, I am joined by my co-host, friend, and former co-worker, the one chain wonder himself, Mr. Plain Guy.
What is going on, G? What is going on?
Oh, you know, I say the same thing every week, same shit, different day.
Somebody's dream, somebody's nightmare.
Exactly.
We have another great show lined up for you guys today. We got a couple things that we want to go over. We want to discuss. I think they're important. I think they're, necessary to talk about. Some of you may agree, some of you may disagree, but at the end of the day, that's the whole point of this, right? We're not all going to agree on anything, on everything, but at the same time, let's talk about it. Let's start a conversation.
You may think we're just blowing smoke, but that's your own opinion.
We're just here to start a conversation. So before we get into that, guys, though, as always, don't forget, if you have any subjects, questions, comments, concerns, if you disagree with us, don't be afraid to reach out. You can email us at thetowinglife@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at the Towing Life Podcast. From there, you can send us a message. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can comment down below. We read them all. We check them all out. We take what you guys say and, we see what we can come up with it. See if we can give you an answer to your problem or, voice to your concern. So today we're getting to the end of summer. We're starting to get into the fall. I know, especially up here in Canada, a little bit colder, a little bit cooler. The bikes have got maybe about another month before the weekend warriors put them away. The diehards probably got about another 2 months because those guys are nuts and will get every dollar worth out of that insurance.
It snowed yesterday, but the roads are dry today.
So one of the big things that we encountered all summer, and we will continue to encounter summer after summer, is motorcycles. And we've seen a lot of posts. We put one out recently about a motorcycle tow gone wrong and not wanting to be that guy. So I want to kind of take the time to talk about, how you towing your bikes. What are you using to tow your bikes? Gee, we've both driven, wreckers and flatbeds. What's your preferred way to tow a bike?
If I am by myself and I got to load someone's bike, hands down, I'm picking a wrecker. Now, there's a couple different reasons for that. A, you've got your controls right there and you can still hold on to the bike. Depending on the wrecker style that you got. If it's a Vulcan, you've got all your wheel lift controls and your winch controls in a fairly easy to reach spot if you've got to hold on to a motorcycle to keep it upright. If I've done it before where we've had two flatbed operators there because it was a big Harley and we had to turn it around in the garage. And he was able to hold it on the bed and I was able to tilt the bed up so it's now level and he's on the deck with it. And he was able to manhandle it around, if you want to call it that, a lot easier compared to if you're by yourself and you're loading on the angle of the bed, then you got to get some Velcro around the brake handle and hopefully it stays on the bed and then tilt it up or put a strap on it. Like, it just seems like, I don't know. It's probably just because I'm not super comfortable with loading bikes on beds. I'm sure you guys that do it at least a couple of times a week, the rhythm to them. But I've always done them on a wheel lift, and that's what I'm comfortable with. The customer might not be, but I am.
No, that's for sure. There's, so there is products out there And most guys that will tow them on beds will tell you they have, you know, something like a Condor system. You've never used one, I take it.
No.
This is going to sound like an ad for Condor. So it is a great motorcycle dolly setup. And what happens is you kind of put the front wheel into it. It's got like training wheels for the front wheels that run straps back to the back to help stabilize it side to side while also tying in the bike to it. So it all becomes one unit.
Okay.
The front tire sits up on it. It's got, like I said, the training wheel so it can't tip over. And it's actually got a spot to hook your winch onto. So you would set up the Condor, roll it up to the bed, preferably, I think, on the bed because it's got those hard plastic wheels, the last one, unless they've updated it since then. So they would catch on the edge. So you could get it just up onto the bed, hook it with the winch, and literally just winch it up onto your bed where you need it, tilt. It's a one-man show. I've seen homemade versions that are out there. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, at times, if you had a guy there willing to help you, you're right, like the customer, a lot of times, I know there's liability that goes into that. There's, you know, the guy shouldn't be up on the bed, nobody should be on the bed. I get that. Again, we talk about that. There's what the book says you can do, and to be honest, what a lot of us will end up doing. They're different things. But if you've got two people, you know, you don't need to take the time to set up the Condor. If you are by yourself, I mean, it is a dream. It makes it possible, you know, as long as you don't have to pick the bike up by yourself, which I've had to do, it makes it pretty easy.
Now, how big does this fold down into? Like you say, you have to put it together. Like, what's the space?
I want to say it's probably about 3 feet long, couple 2x4 stacked, like it's like it folds up decently.
So
the wheels, obviously,
top tray of a deck then.
No, I think with the way the curve for the front wheel chock works, I don't think it would. It is another tool that's going to take up some space in your boxes, and we already know that there's not enough space in most of the trucks that we drive as it is.
I know. I've worked with a guy before that he hates doing motorcycles, and the reason why he hates doing motorcycles in his flatbed was that there wasn't any strap points. Like, there's very few tie downs on his carrier. You had the one in the center, one at either the front and the back, and you had your one in the center at the back, and that was it. Where the rail pockets, they were solid at the bottom. You couldn't fit anything through that, which absolutely sucked for doing bikes, anything cargo-wise, anything other than a fucking car.
Yeah.
It sucked because you were limited to those tie-down points. And sometimes we expect our drivers, and I'm sure some of you guys out there as well, get a bike, get a car on there. Same time, you're going far, whether it's taking it to the city or taking it out of the city. You got two vehicles going to the same spot and you can do them both. Why not do them both at the same time, right? Send one truck instead of two. But then it comes into the fact, well, you got to load the bike first. And you got to get it normally turned sideways up by your winch. Where's the best spot for loading a motorcycle on a bed? I know.
What do you mean by like securing a motorcycle to the bed? Where's the best
a lot of
spot?
people say they have the motorcycle at the back. A lot of people say have the motorcycle at the front. I'm a firm believer if you're by yourself, you'll want it at the back. But if you're comfortable and you can get that bed tilted up, or you've got this Condor system that you're talking about, get it up to the front so then you don't have to worry about as much as rough of a ride, because you don't have to worry about the bounce of the back of the bed. You don't have to worry about rocks coming up and hitting it. If it's upright tight to the headache rack, a lot less worries that way. But I know a lot of people get taught to have them at the back.
Really? I was always under the impression you put it at the front. And the reason I always did them when I did them on the flatbed, which it's been a while, but I used to put them at the front. And the reason I used to do it is I'd put the wheel up against the winch bracket, almost as if a wheel chock, right? Kind of a principle of forking, right? If you have it wedged up against something, you only have to secure it from going the other way. You still need to stop it from tipping over and also rolling away from you. But as for it can't go forward, you still are going to put a strap accordingly, but it gives that, you know what I mean? You're using that solid point as like a wheel chock for the front tire.
And you normally have those grab hooks up at the front of the bed as well. So you've got more strap points up there. And
You
I
could
get
strap it around the headache rack if you're using soft straps all the way around and back to the bars or to the forks. Oh yeah, there's tons of options when you're up at the front.
yeah.
If I'm using the Condor, I'm going to the middle, I think, just because, at that point, the attachment the way it is.
Yeah.
But I can understand if you're by yourself, the tail of the bed, the least you have to push it, the better.
Now, I think a lot of reason why people are getting told right at the back is to move the bike as little as possible, because you're moving someone's pride and joy, right? That's
Mhm.
what a lot of these motorcycles are to these people, is their pride and joy. And I don't blame them. Some people have very expensive bikes. They put a lot of time and effort into them. So when a guy like you or me shows up, move that bike as little as possible, because that guy's already having a bad day. That's why if you can get it right up tight so where you only have to move it the length of the bike plus a foot to get it on the bed, don't move it anymore. Right? That's where they're coming from. With that said, I used to work for a company that had an enclosed trailer
Mhm.
to haul motorcycles with, and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. You didn't have to worry about the weather. I felt comfortable having the customer right in there with me because they know their bike better than I do.
Yep.
And this is where I would like to strap it, but if you've got somewhere else that you normally strap it, and just that communication with the customers always worked out better, especially when you're dealing with a motorcycle of certain value to that.
Well, you nailed it. You said that they, it's their pride and joy. You ever curious on where to hook a motorcycle? Ask the owner, because they will, I know
90% of the
guys,
time they will tell you.
yeah, because 90% of these guys have towed it before with a trailer at one point, right? These guys will, we are the experts. We can pretend to be the expert, but I'm telling you, a guy with a 92 Civic that says his buddy used to tow asks you or tells you how to hook up a car, you got a reason to kind of argue with him on that. A guy who's been driving 30 years on a motorcycle tells you where to hook up his Harley. I'm going to bet 9 times out of 10 that's probably a good spot.
Yeah.
And unless you're grabbing it by the small turn signal arm, unless that's what he's telling you, I think it's pretty safe to trust him.
Yeah. And you also got to, even if he does tell you where to strap it, that's fine. If your equipment will cause damage strapping it there, make him aware of that.
Yep.
Right? You know your equipment, but he knows his bike.
Yep.
Front wheel
Bikes
drive
are one of the
cars-
few customers that I trust them to know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Most car customers that break down, 90% of them are full of shit.
Yeah.
Most bike guys though have a pretty good idea.
9 times out of 10.
9 times out of 10.
There's always that one ugly thorn in every
Yeah.
class of people.
that one time that you will be wrong in saying that. Absolutely. There's other accessories that are available too, right? We were kind of browsing the web, checking them out. We talked about the Condor. There's also, I don't know if there's a name for it. I don't know if when you came across it, if you found a name, but there's like a tail fin that bolts on or slides on self-loaders to the end of the wheel lift. And what that does is when your wheel lift comes down from your truck, it's 3 feet to the back, give or take, and then it extends out. This bolts on your swivel head. It gives you an extra 2 feet off the rear. What's that?
Steady mate.
Steady mate.
Yeah.
What that'll allow you to do is it'll allow you to load the bike front to back on a wrecker instead of hanging it off the back or putting it sideways. It'll allow you to load it front to back, give you the space to do it. You can tie it down to your wheel lift because give or take the seat area, maybe a little farther back, will be right at your T-bar. It allows you the options to secure it down, tie it down, keep it standing up on the back of a bike. You can get away with it with a wrecker that way. Customers would feel probably pretty confident with it. There's still the risk of rocks and everything. Keep in mind when you are using it, if you have a swivel head on your wheel lift that doesn't lock, remember to hook up some sort of safety attachment to allow or to stop the wheel lift from being able to pivot, because with that tail fin, the way everything can go, it could get ugly pretty fast. But there's accessories out there, guys. If there's a problem that you have towing something in the industry or a weird containers, motorcycles, anything like that, I almost guarantee you that there is an accessory available to help make it easier. The Condors and the Steady Mate are perfect examples of that. And then if you want to go to the extreme, like G, you worked for the company that had the enclosed trailer, right? That's another accessory to have, and it is versatile for more than just motorcycles.
And the nice thing is with that is not everyone has an enclosed trailer. When you show up and you tow your customer with an enclosed trailer, he is going to like that service as long as you're not a fucking idiot. He's going to like that and he's going to call you back.
Yep.
And as much as it may suck driving 2 hours to go pick that guy up, that's a paying customer that you just gained because he likes the service that you are able to provide to him.
With the equipment that you're able to provide it in, right? And it doesn't even have to be enclosed. It can be open deck trailers too. Again, it's, most guys expect them to go on flatbeds. So when you show up with a trailer with proper tie downs, all kinds of extra straps, that kind of stuff, the enclosed is just the kind of the cream of the cream. It's what you want.
And that enclosed trailer can be used to move your coworkers or haul ATVs.
I never did that.
No,
I never moved with that trailer. I don't know what you're talking about.
Come on.
That trailer was used for motorcycles and motorcycles only.
Whatever lets you sleep at night, buddy.
So talking about that, we do move over wanting to buy accessories, things to find. We talk about all these Condor accessories, these Steady Mate, these trailers. You know where you can find all those, G?
At a tow show?
Everything but the trailer.
I
still don't think the trailer companies.
Buy enough stuff, you get a free trailer. Come on.
I mean, I'm sure there is Zips and Canadian Towing Equipment reps out there that would say, absolutely, you buy a couple of these trucks we bring to the show and we'll throw in a free utility trailer, no problem.
Yeah, drop $300,000 at us in one weekend, we'll give you a free $10,000 trailer.
So we are hoping for tow shows where we are, guys. I know there is one at the time of recording right now. The Vegas tow show is probably just coming to an end. I believe the Tennessee tow show might be coming up. You guys on south of the border have got it made when it comes to tow shows. They are in full force. And
massive.
And massive. I'm getting jealous. I'm seeing the photos. I'm seeing the videos coming up from these shows. Damn, you guys do it right. Nothing against the great group that put it together here in Ontario. But even they will be the first to tell you they can't compete with the shows going on in Nevada, Tennessee. Baltimore is a big one. I don't know if Baltimore's passed. I feel like Baltimore's coming up in October. But yeah, we are hoping to be back for tow shows next year in Canada, in Ontario. I don't know. I don't even think the West Coast had their show this year. I'm pretty sure most of Canada's shows were canceled. Drummondville is coming up in a week or so. One of the Quebec tow shows. I know they have something going on. We are left out here in Ontario. I think the decision was made early. I think it was the right decision with the, everything they had at the time. But I miss it. God, I miss it because tow shows are the place to be.
Yeah, like you can get really good deals on winch lines and straps. Anyone who's there always has deals for the tow show weekend. And I went down there a couple years ago. I think it was the last year that they had it on with you. That was either 2 or 3 years ago now. And I bought like 3 winch lines and a couple snatch blocks and a couple of straps. And it was cheaper than, I think I walked out of there almost 50% less than what I would normally pay if I had to go into the store and pick them up at a separate time. And just finding deals like that can go a long way. Just by yourself, let alone a company. I think I saw a guy there take a whole pallet of winch lines out.
Yeah, I think I do
winch
remember
lines
that guy.
for the whole year for his company.
Yeah,
from the tow show, and you can do that, and it is just an awesome resource available, just in that aspect alone of the amount of products that are all there in one roof or under one roof at the same time.
I think it's a great, it's a nice perk to have the sales. To have the deals on the items and pick stuff up. And how often do we get to go to Canadian Towing? I don't get to go very often, so I would be more likely to be one of those ones that would be at a tow show and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to pick up this things that I wouldn't think of unless I was in the store. And hey, look, I'm getting a deal on them because they got show prices. But I love the networking side of it. The networking side of it is great. All the clientele that you have there, all the different companies that are involved in the towing industry in one way or another. You've got, roadside companies that are there to answer questions, hear any criticism you may have. One year there was a distracted driving simulator that was there. I thought that was pretty good. Miller, NRC, all the big boys have some new equipment out normally and some new technology to show and some trucks for sale. It's just a good all around. Like I said, the networking side, the towers you will meet there. We all see each other on Facebook and everything else. You see these company trucks, and then you see them in the parking lot, and then you see the guy wearing the uniform at the show, and you go, hey, I think we've met, or I towed this, and you helped me unlock this vehicle. It's that way to bring all of that year's worth of stories and different people that we've met together to one place.
Are you a tow truck operator looking for a great company to grow with? Are you currently living in Canada? Well, Strong Arm Recovery wants to hear from you. With a large modern fleet and competitive wages, Strong Arm Recovery is changing the way tow truck operators are taken care of. With national expansion on the rise, they are actively searching for franchisees across the country. There's also current openings in both their Ottawa, Ontario, and Calgary, Alberta locations for operators. Please visit strongarm-group.com for more information and how to apply. Like the last tow show I went to, I was able to have a conversation with Colin from Preferred Towing for about 30, 45 minutes or whatever. And we just shot the shit. We talked about a van that he had to tow. We talked about some shit that I had to tow. This is 2-3 years ago now, so I can't remember the specific details. But he's just a guy, just like you and I, right? I had the same type of conversation I have with you on a daily basis. And I'm sure all you guys watching and listening, the same type of conversations you have with your coworkers. Just because someone's fancy and is on TV doesn't mean that they think that they're better than us. And that's a big thing to the tow shows, is you get to meet people, you get to talk to people, you get to form these relationships with people. You get to, that's what the word means, network, right? You can learn more about so-and-so who runs this company, and you might be able to get a tidbit of information from him and implement it in your company. And it just makes the whole industry grow, because we're all together in one place, right? We don't have that much communication in the industry, but the tow shows is one aspect where we can all come together and just bitch about things that need bitching about and work on things that need to be worked on. And that's why I love it.
I remember one of the, I don't think it was the first tow show I went to, but it's very possible it was. I remember I got asked out to dinner. There was a bunch of guys going out, a bunch of towers. I won't name any names. They were, fairly big in the industry, fairly big in the province. And we all went out to dinner that night at the Keg. And I remember sitting at this table. I'm a driver for, I don't know if my boss was there. I don't think so. I don't think I was representing his company there. I think I was with a different company. But I remember sitting out for dinner and going, wow, am I punching above my weight class? Right. We are with some owners of some big equipment. I was starstruck by these guys. I've known them in the industry, everything. And we had dinner, and it was the best bunch of guys just shooting the shit. And I went, okay, the drivers and the owners, I get there's a difference. But when it comes to the passion for the towing industry and the stories they have, they're the same damn people. Yeah. They're the same damn people. And it was some of the most genuine conversation, laughs, drinks, everything we had. And that's, tow shows always, I have never gone to a tow show and not had at least one funny moment, whether it be trying to pee with a door open of a truck while the guy driving the truck is trying to move it. He's featured next week, ladies and gentlemen. There's always a good story that came out of a tow show. So by all means, if you get the chance to go down to them, guys, check them out. They are, they're worth it. In Ontario, we're hoping to have one next year. If you guys are in the States, check your local state association. Almost every state has one. I don't know if there's any that don't. Find out when they are. We're in the season right now. Try and check one out. I'm sure you won't regret it. And we hope to see you down at them at one point.
Speaking of stories, didn't you get us all kicked out the last tow show we went to?
Okay. That cop, and he wasn't a cop. That guy was a security guard. Yeah. So again, we won't name any names in the story to save anybody getting in trouble. We were having a fine time at a wonderful campground out in Western Ontario. I think it's more central, but we'll call it Western for story's sake. Now, this security guard had been pacing this parking lot, eyeing us, just stank eyeing us. And there was 4 of us, and we are just hanging out, staying at the campsite, but just I think a couple of us were staying
No,
at the
we were
campsite.
in the parking lot of the tow show at the time. We were
But
camping there.
It was at a campground. We were on
Yeah.
the campground grounds. It was at the
Convention
whatever
center.
you call it. Yeah, exactly. There you
go.
are. And so this security guy's watching us, and we're having beers. We're trying to crack them nice and quietly. And we're sitting there, and it's getting late, and he's just walking around. And I think he knows what we're doing, but we're not. We're just telling stories and having a good time. It was fine. It was cool. He was good with it. He didn't look happy, but he was good with it. I think he wanted to go home. Anyways, I decided that after having one or two soda pops that I need to go, relieve some stress. So I take off. I walk across the parking lot behind the trailer, and I take a leak. As soon as I come back out from over the trailer, that guy comes screaming across the parking lot at us. That's it. You're done. You're gone.
Didn't he come over in a golf cart?
He might have. Yeah, I think he was doing laps around the place.
Yeah.
And you're gone. That's it. That's it. That's where I draw my line. Go draw your line. I'm peeing. I didn't do it in the middle of a parking lot. I didn't do it up against anyone's vehicle. I went to the bush about 100 feet away and where nobody could see me. Well, there's cameras everywhere.
And weren't we drinking with the owner of the said trailer at the same time too?
We were drinking with the owner of said trailer at the time. And I believe it was one of the decision makers on who the security guards were for the weekend.
Yeah.
So it had all kinds of irony. No one got hurt. It was all in good fun. That guy had a stick up his ass, but it was definitely a good time. Definitely a good time. So from the good times of tow shows and all the people you are going to meet, let's talk about the people that we don't want to meet.
Oh, come on.
This is a serious subject going on right now, and I don't know how you're going to feel about it, G. I kind of want your opinion on it too. We're going to avoid the politics as usual, guys. We try not to get into them, but currently right now, with COVID still such a big problem in Canada, especially, we are having a big problem with roadsides and passengers. So a couple certain roadsides have agreed that, just recently in our province or in our area as of September 1st, that a couple roadsides are going to start taking passengers again. As far as we could tell, there was no discussion with the actual contractors for these. You want to
hear the discussion? Sorry, I'm getting heated. The discussion we had was we got a phone call and said, how many of your trucks are extended cabs? Why? Oh, the only reason why I could think that you are asking that question is because you want to put passengers back in the truck. When are you planning on doing this? Oh, tomorrow. Thanks for the heads up, asshole. Like, that was it. That was all. And you know what the biggest slap in the fucking face about this is? The dispatchers that work for said roadside aren't in their office. They're working from home for the one reason, because it's not safe to meet strangers that you haven't seen before in an enclosed space. Well, guess what my tow truck is? It's an enclosed space. I made more exceptions for taking passengers when we weren't allowed to take passengers because it was on my terms and I knew I was helping them out. Now that I am forced to take passengers or not make any money at all, it's where do I draw the line? Right? It's a fine line to walk between being discrimination and just trying to be safe. Right?
No, it's absolutely right. Like I said, they came out of the blue. They changed their policies. The policy clearly stated on their websites that, passengers were not being taken. Suddenly, the policy changed on their website, and it said, we will be taking passengers. Obviously, with vaccine passports being a hot topic, that was a question they had, and they're frequently asked is my tow truck operator going to be vaccinated? And the answer they gave, which I respect them for it, is that we aren't going to disclose that information, and they don't have to answer if you ask them. And same, they will not ask you as a passenger. Now, I'm cool with that. I get it, because we don't want to discriminate based on vaccine if we're going to take the passengers. However, I don't discriminate. I take no passengers. This is simple. I've said it from the beginning. It is not political. It is financial. I am not taking a passenger. Why? I am a fairly young, healthy individual Healthy is a stretch, but I'm a fairly young individual. I am not worried about getting sick or dying. I am not here to debate if COVID is real or created in a lab or natural. I don't care about any of that shit. But what is fact is that if I were to test positive in my province with my vaccine status, whatever that may be, I would have to quarantine for 10 days. That is 10 days without pay. So if I were to test positive and have passengers in the truck and possibly do things out of my free time, where do we know where the COVID came from? We don't. So we have to assume that it happened at work and I was being forced to take passengers. I am now off for 10 days. Who is going to pay me for my time off? Nobody.
Well, the
By not
government
take-
has some sort of thing to help.
There
you.
is something that they can pay. It's very minimum. I think it only covers multiple. I don't think it covers the full isolation period, all that stuff. I'm not dealing with it. I am not jumping through hoops for that headache if I were to test. Here's the deal I have. I will take passengers when one of two things happens. Somebody brings me pen to paper and says, here's 10 days off paid. There's 10 days off paid if you test positive. Or I no longer have to quarantine. Those are the two options. What that's doing is that if I were to now test positive and I'm not taking passengers, guess what? I did that on my own time, clearly, because I wasn't taking passengers. The risk was limited with the exposure we have to them. I wasn't taking passengers. So if I went out to the movies and something happened, my boss shouldn't have to pay me for that time. If I'm taking passengers, we don't know. So you are going to pay me for my time off. So here's what I'm going to do. Put the pen to paper that I have 10 paid days off. And I'm even willing to put it to the fact that if my days off fall within that period, we don't even have to count those. Just make sure that my pay goes interrupted for the time that I have to quarantine. I'll take passengers every day of the week. I'll even give them a kiss goodbye. Because at that point, financially, it's not impacting me. Health-wise, I'm not concerned it'll impact me. But to force me to take it, to start passing off calls to other companies because that company doesn't take passengers, and pretty much trying to force the hand of any operator who won't take passengers. Don't be fooled. That is exactly what they are doing. These roadside companies, fuck them. They will try and get somebody else to do the call that'll take passengers. They don't want to inconvenience their customer and they don't want to pay anymore. They're an insurance company. They're tired of paying. So what they will do is they will offer you that call. You can't take the passengers. Cool. I'll try the next guy. Let's see how long you can starve without these calls before you will just submit and start taking passengers. Whether that's in their intention or not, when they decided this to start doing this, it is exactly what they are doing, and it is bullshit, and it needs to end.
I don't think they came across as malicious intent about it. I can see it from a company's point of view where they're paying one of us to pick up their car and take it to a destination. And then they would have to pay another company, like a cab, and take the same people to the same fucking location.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying twice for something that could have been done in the first place with one truck. I can get where they're coming from, and I understand why they want to push it in. The fact that they did it suddenly without any warning
and silently, yep.
Yeah, and like we had 1 day heads up that wasn't even a day heads up. It was, oh, you called and asked a question, and I read between the lines and figured it the fuck out.
I didn't even have a day's heads up.
I know you didn't.
From either of the roadsides that started that, no day's heads up. I think I heard it from you a couple days later.
Yeah. So the other issue I have with it now is normally they would tell you before COVID and everything, they would say, hey, there's 2 passengers with this vehicle.
Right.
Or, hey, there's 1 passenger with this vehicle. Now they're not. I want to say 75% of the calls I get that have passengers state nothing in the call, in the comments, nothing about a passenger, because they want you to show up and then make you the asshole when you show up and say, no, sorry, I can't take your passenger, right? They want to put you in a spot, what I feel like, they want to put you in a spot where you're almost forced to take the passenger.
See, I've only ran into one of those situations where it didn't list passengers and there was. And that one there, I'm cool if they do that. Hear me out on this, okay? You want to send me up to a call and make me look out to be an asshole? Cool. I'm getting a paid cancellation because I'm going to get there and I'm not taking the passengers. I'll look like the asshole. You just paid me to drive up here. And most roadsides, especially if that is a local tow where you're not really getting, we know how the mileage system works on most of the roadside companies. You're not getting, any extra for the mileage. I'll come out here for a paid cancellation. You want me to be the bad guy? I'll be the bad guy. I'll do it politely. If you're going to pay me, I will go to every call to tell them I'm not taking passengers if you're going to pay me. Right? That's what we've almost gone to the point of starting to do. I don't care if it says passengers. Guess what? I'm going. And then when I get there, I'm telling them, we are not taking passengers. Your roadside has been advised that. So have you made arrangements? Well, no, I need a ride. Then deal with the roadside. It's not my problem. Yeah. I'm telling you that your roadside is aware we're not taking passengers. They still sent me out. Who does that flip that to? Yeah. That doesn't look like you're the asshole. Yeah. You've told their roadside. We have. Right? So as long as you're consistent and steady with it, I don't think you give the roadside's ammunition to come back at you for it.
Now, the only problem I see with this is it has to be company wide. If you work with a company, let's say you got 6 drivers and 3 of them say they don't take passengers and 3 of them just don't care.
It shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, then you're fucked. If you show,
well, that's your dispatcher's job to make sure they send them right to the right company.
Yeah, but if you show up and you say you can't say that because then some people in your company do take passengers. This whole thing when it was mandated no passengers, we were still taking passengers that broke down on the highway and we took them to the closest off ramp or so closest safe haven, if you will, whether that be a Tim Hortons or the carpool lot. With that said, I was fine with those people because I was taking them for 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, whatever.
Limited interaction.
Yeah, limited interaction. They're in a dangerous spot. I got them into a safe spot. That's my job. I'd get people out of dangerous situations. Now, you get that same person that broke down at their house and they want to ride to their shop to talk to their mechanic and hand them the keys personally. I've always said, just leave your keys on the driver's side floor. I'll give them to the shop when I drop your car off, right? Yep. You don't need to be there. Call them, let them know it's coming. Oh, no, I need to be there. Yeah. I've dropped off a lot of cars, and I've drove ship boxes all my life. You don't need to be there if it's your physical shop that you always go to. They know you, and they know when that ship box rolls in that it's your ship box because they probably work on it enough. You don't need to be there. You don't need to come with me. You stay at home. Yeah. They're not going to fix your car in the 30 minutes you're going to be there. So just stay at home. You don't need a ride.
We have the technology. Pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Skype with them.
Yeah, something.
Message them on Facebook.
That's the biggest problem is now that they're saying, oh yeah, take passengers. Now I'm taking those people. It's not the people that are broken down at the grocery store with a full load of groceries. It's not those people I don't want to take. Those people, I am more than willing to help them out because that's my job. We are helpers. It's the people that just have nothing better to do and want to ride with the tow truck driver.
The added unnecessary risk kind of thing is what you're saying.
Yes.
Because that's what they are. They don't need to be there. They want to be there. They're added unnecessary risk.
I had a call the other day. I picked him up at the park by my town, and he went like 65 kilometers. They said that there's a passenger, and I was like, you know what? Whatever. I'll just take him. When I get there, his father was there in a separate vehicle who also lives close to where I'm towing it to. So I was like, oh, perfect. This guy will just hop in with him, get a ride home. It'll be all fine and dandy. The father said to me, oh, I've driven there twice in the last 3 days. I don't want to drive again. You're taking him. I was like, well, I don't really want to take passengers. And I said, it's because if I test positive, I meet a lot of people throughout the day, like just all the normal stuff that I say. Yeah. I'm personally not vaccinated. So I tell him that too, just to see if he'll, not come with me.
That might turn him off.
And no, he said, no, I'm coming with you as long as that's okay. And I was like, well, I guess it's okay. And it turned out to be a great fucking guy. We had a great conversation. I had him laughing all the way there. And once again, didn't get a tip out of the guy, but fucking phenomenal dude. We had a lot in common. And that's one thing I miss about not taking passengers is the people that you meet. And some of the 100%. Best stories towers will have is from the people they'll meet, whether they're cracked up on meth or they're just an awesome person to talk to. There's two sides of the spectrum, and anything in the middle you can always have a good conversation with. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of want to start taking passengers again, but it's that unnecessary risk, like you said, and that it just bugs me, and I can't quite get over it yet.
It's 100% true, and I'll be, the first guy to say it. Gee, you're a nicer guy than I am, because that lady with a full cart of groceries at the grocery store, not my problem. I'm not towing you home to unload the groceries anyways. Call somebody to come pick you and your groceries up. It's I stand by my decision. I respect everyone for their decision and their choice to, their ability to make that decision. If you want to take passengers, never hold it against you. But until, like I said, one of those two conditions are met, I ain't taking passengers. Like it, love it, hate it, don't care. So
I don't blame you. I really don't blame you. We do this for the money. It's a job. That's what jobs are, right?
Yep. Yeah. So
you
keep
wouldn't do
yourself
it if you weren't getting paid, right? That's
keep
at
yourself
the end
protected.
of the day.
Cover your finances.
Yes. At the end of the day, you're not bringing money in, you're not putting food on the table. And if you got to take 10 days off, I know a lot of people, 10 days without pay,
Would crush them.
Yeah, that's a mortgage payment.
Yep.
Like it's bad. A lot of people out there are living pretty tight to the belt as it is. And 10 days off that they may or may not have vacation time for. And who really wants to pull their vacation days for COVID? Like,
Exactly.
But yeah, it is what it is.
Be safe out there, guys. If you're taking any passengers, if you're not taking any passengers, by all means, let us know. We're curious to hear it. What do you feel on it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What steps are you taking? Are you doing different things? What's your criteria for taking a passenger? We want to hear it. So that was a lot to go over. We somehow went from motorcycles to tow shows to COVID.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. Well,
yeah,
tow shows are pretty good, though. Tow shows are pretty good. The good, and the ugly today.
The good, and the ugly. All right. We wandered a little off topic at one point with our good, bad, and ugly. We have made a full circle back to it. The Towing Life podcast wouldn't be possible without the help of our amazing sponsors.
With heavy and light service vehicles in both Ottawa, Ontario and Calgary, Alberta, Strong Arm Recovery has all your needs covered. Franchises available across Canada.
So support those that support your favorite podcast and visit them at strongarm-group.com. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you have any subjects or questions you would like covered on the show, you can let us know by emailing us at thetowinglife@gmail.com. By finding us on Facebook, you can search at the Towing Life Podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, there's always the option to comment below. Do not forget to like and subscribe. That's one thing we got to keep talking about. Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Head on over to that
Hit
YouTube
all the buttons
side.
down below and tell me how much of an asshole I am down there too.
You guys, your input, experiences, the questions that we have brought in, they're always welcome. We didn't get into the motorcycles. I forgot to mention that was mentioned by one of our viewers, that David did mention that, wanted to hear more about bikes and loading techniques. So guys, the fact that you guys keep sending it in, keep following us on Facebook. There's constantly stuff coming out. And G, take us out.
From Plain Guy and myself, we hope that you have a safe day out on the roads today, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Take care.